Malaga Radio.
Freshly squeezed.
The juice on all the daily events along the coast.
With just a little bit of zest.
You're listening to Malaga Radio. This is the Weekly Diary with Carmen and Baptiste.
This is where we take a look at what's happening across the Costa del Sol for the week ahead, so you can quickly decide what fits your time, your mood, and where you are.
And this episode, we're looking at the week of April 6th through to April 12th. So if you're here now or arriving over the next few days, this is what's going on.
The idea is simple. We're not going to overload you with detail. We're going to give you clear options, what it is, where it is, and when it's happening, so you can build your own version of the week.
And it's quite a nice week as well, because everything starts to open up again after Easter. There's a bit more energy, a bit more choice.
That's the key shift, because you've got a mix now. You can go busy, social, coastal, or you can step away from that and find something quieter and more visual inland.
And we've actually got something that really captures that this week.
We do, and we'll start there because it gives you a very clear idea of how different your days can feel depending on what you choose.
Malaga Radio.
So let's start with something really special this week, because up in the mountains in Alfarnate, you've got the Cherry Blossom Festival. And for a couple of days, the whole village transforms.
This runs across Saturday and Sunday, with Sunday being the main day, starting late morning and running through the afternoon. And it's about an hour inland from Malaga, so this is something you plan as a day out rather than just coming across it.
And when you arrive, it doesn't feel like the coast at all. White streets, blossoms out everywhere, little stalls set up, people moving through the village. It's busy, but still small. You feel part of it.
What makes this different is that it's not just about the trees. It's a full village event with a market, performances, workshops, and everything happening across different little squares and streets. So you're constantly moving through it rather than standing in one place.
And there's something really fun about it as well, because it's not just Andalusia. There's a Japanese influence running through everything. So you'll see little details, food, music, even people dressed up. It gives it a completely different feel.
That mix is intentional and it works well because you get the structure of a local village festival, but with something a bit unexpected layered into it, which makes it stand out compared to a typical weekend event.
And you can really take your time with it. Wander, stop for food, watch something happening in one of the squares. It's not rushed.
Exactly. And that's the decision point. This is for people who want to step away from the coast for a day, slow things down, and have a more visual, walkable experience rather than something loud or crowded.
And I love that it's only a short window as well. It makes it feel a bit more special. Like if you're here this week, this is your moment to see it.
That's right, because the blossom doesn't last long and everything is built around that timing. So if you're thinking about it, this weekend is the time to go.
So that's Alfarnate this weekend. Something a bit different, a bit unexpected.
And it's a good reference point for the rest of the week because everything else we talk about will sit around that same choice, whether you stay coastal and busy or head somewhere a bit quieter and more relaxed.
So if you like that idea of Alfarnate, that slightly slower, more immersive feel, there's actually quite a mix across the region this week, depending on how you want to spend your time.
This is where the choice really opens up because alongside something like Alfarnate, you've also got much more local, more accessible events happening along the coast and in the towns. So you don't have to travel far to find something.
One that stands out for me is in Mijas, Gran Mercado Circense, running Friday through Sunday in Las Lagunas. It's basically a circus-style street market, so you've got performers, stalls, and things happening all around you.
This works well if you want something easy and family-friendly because it's set in a park, it's free to enter, and you can move through it at your own pace rather than committing to a full day.
And it's fun. You've got performers moving around, stalls, little surprises happening as you walk through. It's one of those where you don't really plan it, you just enjoy being there.
Exactly. And that makes it very different from Alfarnate, where you go for a specific experience. This is more flexible. You can arrive, stay an hour, or stay all afternoon depending on how it feels. Pasión Ecuestre in Nerja is another strong option this weekend, and this is an equestrian show right on El Playazo Beach. So you're watching traditional horse performances with the sea as the backdrop.
Yeah, this is really beautiful. The setting makes it, you've got the sand, the light, the horses. It feels very Andalusia.
And it runs throughout the day into the evening, so you've got plenty of time to catch it. And because it's outdoors and spread out, it doesn't feel as compressed as a town center event. A few more to have on your radar this weekend. Torremolinos Festival of Darts running all week. Very social atmosphere around that. Smaller village celebrations happening across the Axarquia and local spring events popping up in town squares throughout the region.
And it's worth just keeping your eyes open as well, because this is the kind of week where you can just come across something, a market, a performance, something happening in a plaza.
So that gives you a strong mix of festivals and traditions this week, from planned days out to things you can just drop into. And in a moment, we'll slow it down slightly and look at what's happening across culture and exhibitions.
Malaga Radio.
So if you want to slow things down a bit this week, take a break from the crowds. Culture is actually in a really good place right now.
This is where Malaga works well because you can step out of the busier areas and into something more controlled, galleries, theaters, exhibitions, without needing to plan too much. One of the standout options this weekend is the Tiptoe International Dance Festival, with performances at the Teatro del Soho and also a public event down at Muelle Uno.
And that's the one I love, the open-air ballet at the port. You've got the sea behind it, people gathering around, and then this really elegant performance right in the middle of it.
That's on Sunday around midday at Muelle Uno, and it's very accessible. You can just walk through, stop, watch, and move on, so it fits easily into your day without needing a full booking.
And that's quite a nice contrast to something like Alfarnate as well, because earlier we were talking about that slower visual experience, and this gives you something similar, but right in the city.
Exactly, and that's the advantage this week. You don't have to travel far to get that cultural layer. It's already built into Malaga itself.
And then you've always got the museums as an option, which I think people sometimes forget.
This is a good fallback at any point in the day because you've got air conditioning, quieter spaces, and a lot of variety depending on what you're interested in.
And if that's your thing, you can just step into somewhere like the Picasso Museum or the Thyssen, take your time, and reset a bit before heading back out.
A couple of things to keep an eye on. Temporary exhibitions at the Picasso Museum and the Carmen Thyssen, both worth checking depending on what's on during your stay. And Mucac La Caracha for more contemporary work if you want something different.
And a lot of these places do free entry windows as well, especially on Sunday afternoons. So it's always worth checking before you go.
So whether you're dipping into a performance or just stepping into a gallery for an hour, culture gives you a good reset this week. And next, we'll get into food and hospitality because there's plenty happening there as well.
Malaga Radio.
So food this week, and this is where things get really easy to enjoy because you don't need a plan. You can just follow what feels good.
This is the most flexible part of the week because whether you're moving around or staying local, there's always something happening around food, markets, pop-ups, or just places doing something a bit different.
And actually, going back to Alfarnate for a moment, because that's not just about the blossom. Food is a big part of that experience as well.
That's right, because once you're there, you're not just walking through it. You've got stalls, local dishes, and a mix of flavors influenced by the festival itself. So it becomes a full day of eating as much as exploring.
And that's the nice part. You can just wander, try something, stop again somewhere else. It feels very relaxed.
If you're looking for something more social and a bit more energetic, then Burger Cup Vélez Malaga is worth knowing about this weekend. And this is essentially a burger festival where different vendors compete. So you're moving between stands, trying different styles, and making a bit of an event out of it.
That's fun. Because it's not just one place. You can try a few, compare them, stay as long as you want. It's very relaxed.
Exactly. And it works well in a group because everyone ends up trying something different. So it becomes part of the experience rather than just sitting down for one meal.
And then something completely different again in Pizarra, the Activity Community Eco-Gastronomy event.
This is more focused on sustainability and local produce. So it's a mix of food, workshops, and community activities. And it's a good option if you want something slower and more rooted in the local area. If you're staying closer to the coast, then food festivals and local markets are where you'll find that same kind of atmosphere without the travel.
One to look out for is the Mercado Agroalimentario in Coin, which is basically a local food market with producers, fresh ingredients, and that direct from the source feel.
This is a good daytime option, especially if you want something quieter and more authentic, because you're dealing directly with local producers rather than a big commercial setup.
And then you've got the more social side as well, places where food is part of a bigger atmosphere, like festivals, beachside spots, people gathering.
That's the balance this week. You can go slow and local, or you can go more social and energetic, and both are easy to find depending on where you are. A few more to keep in mind: local food markets running across towns like Marbella and Fuengirola, smaller pop-up food events tied into weekend festivals, and plenty of beachfront dining spots starting to pick up again as the season shifts.
And honestly, sometimes it's just about finding a place, sitting down, and letting the day slow down a bit, especially this time of year.
So whether you're planning it or just following your appetite, food is an easy win this week. And coming up, we'll move into music and nightlife, because the energy definitely shifts there.
Malaga Radio.
So if you're ready to lift the energy a bit, this is where the week really opens up, because music and nightlife are starting to feel alive again.
This is where your day can shift quite quickly, because you move from relaxed afternoons into something more social. And there are a few clear ways to do that this weekend. Brunch Electronic Malaga is one of the main events, and this is a day-to-night electronic music event at the Auditorio Cortijo de Torres, running into the evening, so you can arrive in daylight and stay as long as you want.
And that's what I like about it. It doesn't feel rushed. You go in, it's light, people are relaxed, and then it just builds as the night comes in.
The setup is designed for that progression, so you've got space, proper staging, and a crowd that grows with the atmosphere, which makes it feel like an event rather than just a night out.
And then if you want something a bit more casual, you've got places like the marinas and beachfronts picking up again.
This is where live music and smaller DJ sets start appearing naturally, especially in areas like Puerto Marina, in Benalmádena, and along the Marbella coast. So you don't always need a ticket, you just need to be there.
Yeah, and that's the nice part. You go out for dinner or just for a walk, and suddenly there's music, people dancing, something happening. It just pulls you in.
If you want something more contained, Malaga City itself has smaller venue nights running throughout the weekend, so you can keep it local and still find a good atmosphere without going too far. A few more to keep in mind: DJ sets across beach clubs from Marbella through to Fuengirola, live bands and acoustic sets popping up along the coast, and late-night venues in Malaga City if you want to carry things through.
And it's just starting to feel like that time of year again, where the evenings stretch out and you don't really need a plan.
So whether you're easing into it or going all the way through the night, there's plenty happening. And next, we'll shift gears again and look at what's happening outdoors.
Malaga Radio.
So if you want to balance things out a bit this week, get some fresh air, move around, there's quite a lot happening outdoors as well.
This is where you step away from the crowds and into something more open. And you've got a mix of spectator events and things you can actually take part in. One of the standout events this weekend is Subida a Peñas Blancas in Estepona. And this is a mountain motorsport race where drivers take on a steep hill climb route through the mountains.
And this is quite dramatic because you're up in the hills, watching cars come through these tight roads, the views, the sound, everything feels quite intense.
The route climbs high above the coast, so you're combining the event with the setting, and it tends to draw people out across the mountains rather than into one fixed space, which makes it feel less crowded.
And then if you want something a bit more active, there's plenty of ways to do that as well.
This is a good week for things like hiking, especially inland, or along the eastern coast, where you've got routes that are quieter and more spread out, so you can take your time without being pushed along.
And that links back nicely to what we were saying earlier. If you like the idea of Alfarnate, you've got that same kind of space and slower pace in a lot of these areas.
It's also worth mentioning the Torremolinos Festival of Darts, because although it sounds like a single event, it actually runs across the whole week inside a resort setting, so you've got pools, bars, and a very social atmosphere around it.
Yeah, it's not just watching darts. It's people staying there, moving around, spending time together. It's more like a holiday atmosphere built around the event.
Exactly. And that's why it works, because you can dip in and out of it throughout the day, rather than treating it as one fixed moment. A few more to keep in mind: coastal walking routes and cycling paths are in great condition this time of year. Kayaking and water activities starting to pick up again along the eastern coastline, and inland trails offer offering quieter alternatives if you want to get away from the busier areas.
And this is the kind of week where you can really mix it, a bit of activity, a bit of relaxing, and just move with the day.
So whatever pace you're looking for this week, you've got a strong mix of options, and we'll wrap it all up in just a moment.
Malaga Radio.
So it's quite a week, isn't it, when you think about it? You've got that contrast the whole way through.
That's the key thing, because you're not locked into one type of experience. You can shift it day by day or even within the same day, depending on how you feel.
And I think that's what I'll remember this week, that choice. You can be up in Alfarnate, walking through blossom and little streets, and then the next day, you're by the sea, music, people, something completely different.
That flexibility is what makes it work, because you're not chasing one big event. You're building your own version of the week as you go.
And that's where the daily shows come in as well. Because things change, little events pop up, local things you wouldn't always find.
Freshly Squeezed every morning does that well because it keeps you updated with what's actually happening that day, especially the smaller, more local events that are easy to miss otherwise.
And if you're in that mood to get out and do something, Feel the Pulse really helps with that.
That's your late morning slot, and it's very much about getting you moving, activities, ideas, ways to actually use the day rather than just planning it.
And then later on, Pia just makes everything feel like a holiday again.
That's the shift into the afternoon, more relaxed, beach-focused, slower pace, so it balances the day out nicely.
And if food's your thing, which it usually is,
Daniel's got you covered there because ice and a slice moves you into the evening, restaurants, bars, places to go, and ideas you can actually act on straight away.
So it kind of all fits together, depending on what you're doing, where you are, what kind of day you want.
Exactly. And that's the idea. This gives you the overview, and then the daily shows help you shape the details.
And if you want to go deeper into anything we've mentioned,
you can head to malagaradio.com or the app, or just ask Alexa, and you'll find everything there, including the podcasts.
And there are a lot now. So if something caught your attention, chances are we've talked about it already.
Over 200 episodes across all the main platforms. So whether it's Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, or directly on the site, you can pick it up whenever it suits you.
So whatever you do this week, just enjoy it.
Take your time, choose your pace, and make the most of it.
And we'll be back with you next time.
Malaga Radio.